but mine is basically going to be on the myth of the alpha male and how we put this pressure on this image, right? And the only way we can have a myth is when we don't know something, and when look at the myths of society, or if we look at Greek mythology or religion, or if you go to, like, let's say the Amazon jungle myth or whatever's happening there, and people in our society judge that, but that myth is just to have a relationship with what they don't understand. The problem is in our society, we understand all this shit except ourselves. And if you take those people who are making myths in smaller societies, they tend to, I mean, I can't speak for them, but whenever I've traveled and, done the backpacking thing and really gotten down and deep, I tend to notice that many people in the world have an identity and a clear vision of who they are, what their history is, their passions are, and their purpose, and to the point where they don't even need to define it. But here in our society, there's this abstraction, and then we go for this icon, and we go for this image that is fueled and almost dependent upon never finding it. And it's just such an interesting thing. If I want to be the healthiest person, when I don't know how to do that, when I'm coming out of my pain, out of my, let's say, shame or anger or resentment, I have to be the image of what it's supposed to be.
Because it's an interesting thing, this concept of an alpha male, and you're talking about it as a mythology, and which is essentially an archetype, which is like the collective input of let's say Western society, modern Western society up to this point, which has defined that an alpha male is this sort of thing. And I think that that exists in all cultures throughout time, but previously, what's missing is that the archetype of the alpha male, which they wouldn't have, I guess, it wouldn't have been referred to as the alpha male in any way, but like, say, the warrior or the king or one of these kind of powerful male archetypes, they were based on a relationship with nature, with each other, with your adversaries, with your internal and external adversaries, and I think they were much more kind of deep and well-rounded archetypes of what a man is. And there was a clear script of what you went through to go from manhood into initiation, boyhood, initiation, manhood, and then elder or wise man or king or whatever later on. And the thing that we have in modern Western society is that we've kind of got this plastic version of, tough guy, muscles, gets the girls, money, Rolex, big, all these like little pastiche of the external aspects of what people are trying to sell you is the alpha male, and it has no core, it has no substance, and it's based on around the idea of men not actually being in touch with their emotions, being tough all the time, being successful in materialistic sense all the time, all those things which are pretty shallow and almost impossible to achieve. And even if you do achieve them, they're only fleeting victories anyway. And so we have this crisis of masculinity in the modern world, where men are trying to, fit into this archetype, which is not actually deep, it's not one based on, a collective consciousness or powerful connection to source.
So where do you think that comes from? The whole need for the image. Where do you think that the current modern archetype of the alpha male comes from?
I don't think it's like some people will think it's kind of a conspiracy dictated by certain people at the top. I think it's more a reactionary thing. Like,
sure, yeah.
For example, it comes post during the first and Second World War. You create archetypes of warriors that have to, are all essentially, Captain America, all perfect in kind of their morality versus good versus evil kind of stuff. Yeah. And that becomes part of society's culture. Then you also have the sexual revolution in, the 60s, where you're having, the dynamic of the sexes is changing, of race relations, of, people's relationship to their past with, rejecting their parent society. And so a new myth arises then. Then you have a reaction coming from during the 80s, when materialism and money and cocaine becomes the gods and all of these things. So I think it's the mythologies that create what a man should be and what a woman should be are a mixture of political doctrine, advertising, music, what people are trying to sell you, what people are trying to make you afraid of in order to, send you to wars, and all the other crazy stuff that goes into it. And as a result, the concept of true masculinity or femininity gets totally bastardized and lost.